taxation, 1913, how the Federal Reserve changed our whole system, how we went from a system where we had sovereignty in our wealth to a centralized system robbing our wealth every single year through inflation. The US dollar's collapsed 96 to 97% since the Federal Reserve were created. And as we sit today on April 24th, 2026, we're in a very wild dynamic of one of the biggest shift of generational wealth in history. So on this podcast, we talk about macroeconomics. We're going to talk a lot about the Straits of Hormuz and the effect. I also want to bring up 3 different scenarios to you guys because one of my clients brought up a third scenario around the Straits of Hormuz, and it really got my brain going. So what a great crew to talk about and open this up. But this podcast is, these are our coaches in the 3T Warrior Academy, and we've devoted our life to financial literacy and education. So what we always do is we're going to go around the room, have everybody introduce themselves, and then we're just going to get into a deep conversation out there. So Jackie, the floor is yours.
Hey, what's up, family? I am Jackie. I am the CIO within the 3T Warrior Academy. Super excited to be here, and very big congratulations to Coach JV and the team today. This is a massive day for us guys, and it was also an astrologically picked day.
It was.
So we'll talk a little bit about that on the podcast, but super excited. And again, super grateful for our entire community and all of you guys out there supporting us. Thank you so much. We love you.
Love you, love you, love you. Yes, it was strategically picked. Amazing. And it was been such, I'm just like beside myself. We'll go over to Jeremy, my best friend at work. And so I used to call you my partner, but my real partner, love you there. So people thought we're dating for a long time. We're partners in business. So Jeremy, the floor is yours, the financial wizard.
Absolutely. My name is Jeremy. I'm the CFO of 3T Warrior Academy. And I have been with CJV, working with him as his partner for the last, I don't know, 14 years or something along those lines now at this point. And congratulations. I'm really excited for where the book is going and very proud of you to activate on it and get it out there. And I think the whole team did a great job. The hours that the media team put in or the graphic design team put in to get it all together and get out there, and the great work that everybody did to push it out. We had a great live this morning, and I'm really excited to see where it goes.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you, brother. Love you very much.
Love you.
And then we got my beautiful partner in life. And, hopefully soon in the future here, I'll be able to say, something other than partner, but we're working on that. So we pretty much run it. She's like, I'm going to lock it down. So men, stay out of her comments, stay out of her DMs, because I've been lifting a lot. I'll whoop your ass. I'm just kidding. Anyways, May, the floor is yours.
Put a ring on it then, huh?
I'm kidding, but I'm not. As I always say, I will whoop your ass. You miss my girl. Go ahead.
Well, hello. My name is May. I am the Chief Operations Officer for 3T Warrior Academy and for Freedom Insurance. Super excited to be here today. Just an exciting day, and I am so proud of you, JV. I'm so proud of our entire team. I feel like today was just that nice, I don't know, that boost of what teamwork and what a shared vision can do for not just an individual, but obviously for a company, for a group of people, and for a movement. And so just honored to be a part of your journey, and grateful to be a partner.
Awesome. Vice versa. You've magnetized me 10 times, girl. They're like, go get a room. All right, let's go over to Gonzo, the legendary. He is not the dream killer. He's a dream builder. He's the reality man, teaching us what it's all about, keeping us safe in the markets, making sure we understand reality and not hype and hopium. Without further ado, Gonzo.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Gonzo. I'm one of the coaches in the 3T Warrior Academy. I do all the technical analysis. And I got up really early this morning. I had some Ascension coaching that I had to do. But like before that all started, I had a minute to just kind of sit and just like the stillness of the early morning and the quiet, and knowing that the book launch was going to come. I'm very proud of you. And I just felt very, very overwhelmed with like humbleness and gratefulness for just being part of this team and being along in this journey. So thank you, JV, for allowing me to be part of this journey. And there are really, really big things to come. And it was just this overwhelming sense of like, man, this is going to get really, really, really big. And so very, very grateful. I love you guys. And let's have a great show.
Yeah, thank you so much. And the feeling's mutual. I mean, like the feeling was really cool today. Like you stated, May stated, it's like that common goal, and that what we're about to build, we are building the largest financial literacy company in the world. And like, I don't think I can articulate and try to explain to people how amazing this team is. I mean, it's unbelievable what we have behind the scenes. And so we're excited. We're all going to be our whole team's going to be in Las Vegas this next weekend. So come say hi to us. A lot of people say, oh, I saw you at dinner. Come say hi, guys. We love to say hi to you guys. And we're just very excited, very honored. So we'll head over to Mario. He keeps us safe and keeps us locked down. And we've been talking a lot about crypto and safety. He's an absolute legend in regards to that. And so he helps our community stay safe. He's one of our crypto coaches as well. And he's an absolute legend behind the scenes too. This guy is like, his discipline and work and dedication is unbelievable. So a lot of people don't realize I call him like the silent killer, man. He's like he's out there behind the scenes doing stuff that nobody even knows what he's doing. And he just comes like, he's like, yes, I will do that. Yes, I will get it done. So I just want to say thank you for that as well. So Mario, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I appreciate that, JV. I'm super excited to be here, guys. As JV said, my name is Mario, and I am one of the coaches. I also help with the IT side of things over at the 3T Warrior Academy. Leveraging AI like crazy. Honestly, guys, like the past couple of weeks, I know that we're more like crypto stuff, but I'm going so heavy on AI. Like I've been already doing it, but I'm going even harder because I've actually attended. I didn't attend. I signed up for it, but it's been so busy I wasn't able to see the live. So I watched a little bit of the recording. Tony Robbins does this thing called the AI Advantage, which is a virtual summit. It's his second one. And so like it's more for the regular folk, meaning the people that are super deep into AI development. You know, you're going to hear stuff you already know about. But if you guys are thinking about getting started in AI, definitely check that out. And it's just going to open up your mind. And so listening to it, it made me realize a lot of things, which is we always resist as humans. We always resist change, right? We know that. We know that anything that is difficult or anything that is different, we tend to just resist it. But eventually through the resistance, and this kind of ties into crypto, comes the adoption, it comes the embracement. And so AI is in the process of being embraced, and it doesn't have to be this really bad thing. It is going to be a great thing. And honestly, something that stood out to me that I heard one of the speakers say was that we're talking about all the things that AI can replace or do for us. But at some point, are we going to talk about the things that we don't want it to replace for us? Meaning, and so some of the questions were, maybe putting my kids to sleep at night. I don't want AI to do that for me.
Yeah.
Going for a walk in the beach. I don't want AI to do that for me. But AI can do all of the other things so that you can then go take that walk in the beach, so that then you can go and put your kids to sleep. So it's all about how you use it. And I'm getting chills as I say it because, again, I'm going just super deep on AI. Sorry, guys. And I'm just like, super excited. But let's have an amazing show.
No, that's amazing. That's a good way to start the conversation because it's like there's a massive change coming. And I think a lot of people are still really, 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 really. Oh, did I introduce Jeremy? We're like, I saw him pop up. I'm like, did I introduce him?
Even if you did, I would still just go with the flow. We can just keep talking.
Yeah, so we have a huge change happening right now. The biggest wealth transfer in history. We have AI technology coming in. Jerome Powell said it back in 2021. He said he's worried about the middle class giving leverage towards technology, moving down to the working poor. But I love the way Mario framed it because we're optimistic people. It's like, how can we use AI to our advantage to build? And that's we've done that on the back end with our company. It's a very important thing so we can be more customer centric, so we can spend more time with our customers doing those things that people would normally do. So we have a lot going on, guys. Like this podcast, since we started this, now Straits of Hormuz are still shut down, right? We have a oil supply shock happening. We informed our warriors about that and the percentages and what could happen with the markets. I'd like to start the conversation around there because it's been a lot of questions around that, right? So I'm going to try to walk through 3 different theories, okay? And I want to hear you guys' feedback on it.
I love the tinfoil hat theories. Let's go.
So one theory is that and first of all, before I say this, I pray for our president every single day. I want America to be great. Everything he said that he was going to do, I want that shit. Like I'm all about it. So I want to make it very clear. I'm praying that he brings down interest rates, he prints money, and the markets are going to be phenomenal, and it's going to be, a golden era. So I would love to see Reaganomics come in because we're all entrepreneurs here, and we love to build businesses, and we're proud to be American. Okay, so as I share this, I want you to put your unbiased lens on, and then come in with facts, figures, numbers, logic. Okay, so first scenario is this is a 3D chess plan happening. Okay, July 4th is coming up, which you shared with us is a 250-year cycle. Ray Dalio talks about 250-year cycles. Trump is playing 3D chess, and every single move that's being made is based on bringing in this new economic system that he said we're going to be on an even playing field monetarily before we know it. And we have 2 months, and he's going to pull rabbits out of the hat, and all of a sudden the economy is going to flip after July 5th. That's one scenario. Okay. Then there's a scenario that Iran is bringing down the world to its knees, right? It's like, listen, we can shut down the Straits of Hormuz. We're going to take the whole global system down. Okay. Where I struggle with that is the fact that we got America, China, Russia, superpowers, it could be like, no, you're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. We're going to open up the straits. We're going to get our militaries involved, because if they shut it down, it messes with all of global supply.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was another one, okay, that one of my clients brought up, and I'm like, he said, what if Trump wants it to stay closed as long as possible, and they're tricking us because they want all the oil supply to come into America. Everybody has to start coming to America for oil. So they're going to hold it long enough where it forces people to come to America. So then America becomes the leader in oil, right? All of his plans starts to play out, right? Production back to America. So it's like, and we started going through the whole process, and I'm like, so it could be that he's like, yeah, let's just keep it closed. It could be
a lot of Trump's whole rhetoric is around the United States being able to supply something of value to the world through something that we can create.
Correct.
We
Or
have
have
to.
We have
control
to,
over.
because
Right.
we don't.
Because we don't make anything, right? We don't do anything really here in the United States.
Right.
Well, I mean, we do innovation very, very well. We do research and academic and things like that, pretty well. But like, as far as like the things that drive most GDP, it's been for, the last 10, 15 years, financial services and or something similar to financial services, insurance, real estate, something of that nature. And so when we think about like him going into Cuba, or we think about him with the Iran situation, those could all be strategic plays to push oil back here to, the United States as being something that people could rely on for some type of commodity that's needed inside of the world. So out of the three, I would think that one seems very more likely to me than the other two.
Yeah, because it's like we don't produce anything.
Mm-hmm.
So if we don't, it's all a war. Like you said, it's a war for resources, right? So it's like if we don't produce anything, the straits being shut down forces it to come to America, forces production, it forces. But in that interim, it's going to jack up oil prices. It's going to jack up inflation. The issue is the rich are going to survive this, but the middle class is going to get destroyed. So I just wanted to open up that conversation, see what you guys thought about that. I'm like, wow, because but what we do know to be true is that all three could be true at the same time, but the only thing we can do is to navigate our way through that, right? So I don't know. I just want to start the conversation.
That's where I personally think that's like the benefit of conspiracy theories in general, or things where we think people are conspiring, is because if we can get an idea of what's being conspired about or the conspiracy, then we can take advantage of that situation. I think a lot of people, they look at a conspiracy and then they attack it or want to move away from it without actually providing any value outside of them just complaining about the situation or knowing about the conspiracy. Where in my opinion, I was like, we need to know this knowledge, and then we take advantage of the situation so that then we can be on the other end of where the wealth is being built to then go and do the things that we want to do for our families and for our country or for whatever.
Because it's going where it's going to go. We're not going to stop that.
Right. At least in the capacity of where we're doing things right now, right? And so for us, even like with our mission to get the 1% to the 5%, or to help as many people as possible, like we're helping it in the way in which that we can help it. But we're not going there and saying we need to go and like change this entire thing or go and attack these people or start a revolution. It's like, okay, this thing's happening. Let's go along with it, get what we can extrapolate from that, and then build kind of the world that we want to build from. And that's the way that I look at it.
One thing that always pops into my mind too, though, is because I have that astrological lens where I feel like, the old era is dead, the way we old resources and things like that coming out of the steel age.
Yep.
And oil is the petrodollar, right? So when I think futuristically, and this actually ties back to what Mario had started off as well. So then if it's like, okay, if we're in a new era that's bringing about all new resources, and thinking about the infrastructure for those new resources, I don't think it's going to be the old resources that we used to use. So, and that's why I think it's very powerful to listen to Michael Saylor speak on some of his podcasts, because the reason why he started implementing Bitcoin as like a core source for a lot of his synthetic products that he created in the financial realm, he correlates that really well with oil, with kerosene. the
Oh, yeah,
purest
that's right.
form,
Yeah, the
right?
purest
Right.
form, yeah.
But he talks about it from an energetic standpoint. And he says, if you understand at a deep level physics and energy,
Mhm.
I think he's on that front wave mindset
Yep.
where we are going to move into an era of no longer using those old resources. So I really I see that too, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, okay, then how does this change over time?
So
and
does
what are
that
they going
force?
to use?
Well, think about it. So
Mhm.
if it's all, we can shut down the Straits of Hormuz and shut down the world through
Right,
oil because
right.
it manages everything.
Mm-hmm.
So they say so it's forcing the narrative of we need to
Mhm.
come up with new ways,
Yep.
new ways of moving money. So in the street, yeah. So
Yep.
this is where I'm going with this. I love
Yep.
this. Okay, so the Straits of Hormuz, all of a sudden they're like, oh, they're doing tolls in Bitcoin. Right,
Mhm.
they're like, oh, it's a new form of currency, it's decentralized, it's
Mhm.
outside the system. That's what I think is happening. So
Yeah.
like remember I said, I
Yeah,
was like,
I agree.
is it that the universe is playing itself out as it should, and it should play itself out as a cycle, and these are characters that are playing that out for us?
Yep.
And we are all souls responding to those characters, or we're characters in that as well. We're
Yeah.
playing characters in that as
Mhm.
well. And like this kind of gets into like, I mean, this maybe go a little bit too deep for people, but it's like I'm a character in that, playing Coach JV, who just wrote a book based on macroeconomics.
Mhm.
That's the role that I choose to play within this ecosystem, and I choose to use this to a positive advantage to bring resources to people, right? And there's the other person who's just going to fight all day. Oh my God, like
Mhm.
this is 3D chess, and you're wrong, and QAnon's going to do this, and da da da. And like, for example, I'll give you an example of that, where from 2020 to now, I still have people telling me, well, Q says that Nisara Jasara is going to pay off my debt. And there's people that are still making financial decisions based on that, but it hasn't happened. So what is it that narrative is being pushed so that the people believe in something and stay aligned with that so like there's so many ways to go. When he told me that third scenario, I'm like, wait a minute. So maybe there is 3D chess playing out, because couldn't they just go, we're massive. Our militaries are massive. We just go in there and be like, no, you're not going to shut this down. We're going to get our resources to where we need to go. Right. But okay, so I'll go one more, because I want to spark everything here.
Theory number 4.
Theory, no. So this is my theory. Okay. So I'll say it so I don't get shut down on YouTube. But the pandemic was a global shock to the system, right? Global. Okay. Straits of Hormuz is the next pandemic that is a global shock. It's that one strait shuts down the whole world. So that's the next pandemic. Get us now with shots and because nobody's going to do that anymore. Everybody's woke up. Everybody's like, no, we're not doing this anymore. RFK's coming out and say there's been damage for those types of things. So they're not going to be able to put masks on us anymore and shut us down that way, but they can take us out through food supply and through inflation that is happening. That's where my brain kicked in when he said that. I was like, wait a minute, that's the next pandemic. Is they're going to do it through food shortages, oil supply, inflation. That's where I'm going with this.
I agree 100% with that, because it's right. Ray Dalio, look towards nature. And have you guys ever been on like a cattle, a ranch or anything like that? Come on.
Yeah.
My South
Yes.
Dakota. Raise your hand. Right. So how do they herd cattle? How do they get cattle to move?
Shock them.
They shock
Here,
them.
kitty.
Yep.
They
Oh.
shock them, right?
I was gonna say a cattle dog.
They have you have to.
That's how we get
have
Mario to move.
provide a force. Yeah. Little do you guys know, there's like shocking sticks all over this place. No, just kidding. You have to provide a force that's going to instill fear or like a jolt into people. So you have to provide something that's enough that where people are going to move in the place that you are trying to direct them into.
Yeah, because you're not going to just
I
go,
totally
hey guys,
believe that.
guess what? We're moving to a stable coin. We're
Yeah.
moving here. We're
Yeah.
like,
Nobody's
everybody's
gonna
like,
do it.
screw you, because we're all stuck in our old ways, right?
Mhm.
And how
Yep.
did we change our lives? There was a shock to our system, right?
Yeah.
So we, like Tony Robbins says it, there's inspiration or desperation.
Mhm.
So you're not going to inspire people to move into a central bank digital currency, into
Right.
a stable coin. You're not going to inspire people to change all their ways financially. Well, my mom's a great example. The pandemic, she went to the bank every Friday before the pandemic. She would balance her checkbook. She would get her ledger. She'd balance her checkbook with the pen and paper,
Mhm.
right? She barely used the debit card. Now she has crypto, and she uses online banking, and she uses a debit card. That changed her consumer behaviors. They shocked her bank shut down because of COVID, the
Mhm.
pandemic, right? So that changed her consumer behavior. So now Elon is talking about what he's called it. It's called high universal basic income. He's not calling it something different. He's calling it because of
Oh,
AI
yeah.
technology and robotic. Well, Mario brought that up. It's like, there's going to be so much AI put into the system. where it's going to free up a lot of time for people to do more things that they love.
Mhm.
He also said with AI robotics, it's going to bring down inflation so they can print, what do you call it?
Universal high income.
Universal high income.
Universal
High
high.
income.
Yeah, where
And then
everybody,
also, too, like Meta just announced they're going to lay off 10% of its workforce because of their AI costs.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that.
Wow.
That's wild.
I do think a lot of stuff is going to become more streamlined and effective. And so obviously AI brings a lot to the table right now as far as the capacity that it has for the intelligence, right? That's the advantage that we have with the AI now is the intelligence. So whatever used to take us 50 years to come up with, we can probably do it now in a couple of days with the AI. So I think we will see a lot of change. We obviously will have a bubble as far as AI, economy is concerned. That's obviously going to happen, but I do feel like AI is going to bring in a lot of differences. But to kind of tie in with what you were saying, JV, it's like that problem reaction solution, right? It's what they did with the pandemic. There was obviously something bigger that they used the pandemic for. And right now there's most likely something bigger. It's weird how we have all this power and we can't seem to do anything about the fact that the Strait of Hormuz is shut down. So I do definitely think there's an ulterior motive, and it obviously has to do with shifting humanity towards the direction they want us to go. Just like you said, whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and we're going to find out. So,
In the idea that Elon Musk is proposing with it's essentially universal basic income, but essentially the point of it is that as technologies were supposed to happen, it was supposed to free up everybody's time from laboring, but the profit could be spread around to everybody that was involved that lost their ability to labor for the thing. But what we ended up doing in society since the French Revolution is that as those technologies evolved, we just made people work more inside of the thing, or we let them go so we could extrapolate the profit to push that over the shareholders. So what Elon Musk is essentially saying is that we would be in, like, if you've ever watched Star Trek, in Star Trek, you don't have to work unless you want to work because everything is done for us by automation. So there's no money. There is it's kind of like a theory of, what's that? There's a famous book like a utopia where we don't have to work. The AI and the machines are going to do everything, and we only do things that provide us a value, and everybody's taken care of. It would take a lot for that to happen. But what I can 100% say is that AI is going to definitely shift the job skill set that we're going to need. Especially because it's going to be able to do a lot for us. So then the thing comes is, what's the purpose of human labor at that point?
You know what I was thinking about this with AI, I'll say this real quick, is it's going to be so easy to be an elite human being in the future. What I mean by that, I've actually I'm buying more and more books. I'm reading more physical books, and because people are just going to be, they're going to let AI do their thinking.
Yeah.
So if you're physically fit, spiritually aligned, and you're still reading physical books and digesting information and going through the think tank, like the reports you give me, and I digest the information and you go through that information, it's like we use AI to help us find information, but then we digest it and actually go through it. Layla Hermosi actually did something she talked about the fact that she was like, it's crazy how people just respond to emails with AI.
Yeah.
And so what's happening is what they're missing is the thought process of thinking through writing that email and the decision-making process. Right. And I thought about that heavily. I'm like, because I started to get where I'm like, you look up something real quick on AI, but you're losing that thought process of connecting the dots. Problem solving. Like when I wrote
you're losing all critical thinking, problem solving,
Yes.
using our language, using our ability. I mean, it's the same thing for blog writing. It's for blog writing things in general. In fact, there's a lot of there was an author recently that lost some award because the entire book she did was prompted through artificial intelligence. She didn't even write the book in any way whatsoever. I don't even think she edited the book, but she put the book out there from her name, and I think she won an award, or something ended up happening and it was rescinded. But we're losing our ability to think strategically in the way in which we structure something. Right. And that's why I'm in certain cases when you're doing an email campaign, though, or when you're doing something of those natures, that's fine. Let's just do that. It's more efficient. It's more productive. Maybe have a human read over it to find out anything's lost. But when we're doing, the things of, like deep thinking or strategy sessions or looking at it, sitting down and thinking about the problem is very, very beneficial, right?
Mhm.
There's like a movement in, I don't know, probably academic circles or certain circles, like it's okay to be bored. Like we're so
Yeah.
not good at
Mhm.
being bored anymore because
Mhm.
we're constantly doing something. We never sit and think about shit with no external stimuli hitting us.
Well, we have to
Yeah.
think about so much now. That's the problem. Like that's one of the things that like I feel like as a humanity, we're at a point where it's like we go out for dinner and we got to look at the menu and it's just like, can you just tell me what you recommend as far as dinner? Because I've been making decisions all day. I just can't do one more.
Yep.
So
100%.
obviously people are going to lean to AI for a lot of stuff, but I think you're spot on, Jeremy. I'll just say this. AI is awesome, but the directive from the human is still super important, because if you're just using AI and not even reading what it's telling you and just copy and paste that email, that's bad. Like
Mhm.
AI, you can obviously be a great prompter and teach your AI exactly how you are and exactly how it should speak on your behalf. And so, but most people aren't doing that. Most people are opening up a ChatGPT and they're saying, I got to respond to my boss with this. And so if
Yep.
you're just copying that email over, it's bad.
The other problem is that most people are using AI for its basic features, which is like doing
Yeah.
research or a faster way to Google search. Like, if you use AI to create different connection points, having it do your own stuff, look up stuff, organize stuff, you can get it to actually physically do stuff for you, right? Or to help with coding, or to help with, like, you know, Firefly, which is generative AI for Adobe. Like, you can utilize it, say, hey, I want this to be a little bit bluer up here in the sky, and it'll go in and make it for you. Most of us are just doing it in the sense of like faster Google research.
Well, you know, it's
making your job more efficient, because honestly, with every, like, with darkness comes light, and I think the pandemic showed us that, because the number one thing that people are craving this year is human connection. That's why events are so popular. That's why live streams are so popular. That's why in-person events are so popular. And so I think, again, with what Mario was saying, it's like AI can help you be more efficient in your job, but those who have the job where you rely on that human connection, those I don't feel like will ever be beat. You know?
Oh, 100%.
I feel like
And if
that's
you
the
watch
divine
Gary
essence of like a
Vaynerchuk.
human
Oh,
being
sorry,
too.
Jackie.
No, that's okay. I was just gonna say that's the divine essence of actually being a human being, though, right? When you like give up your ability to make choice, like that, I feel like that's like an ultimate surrender of your divine potential here on earth.
that's the mark of the beast.
That's
the
what
mark of
I
the
feel.
beast.
I feel like it's like almost like a biblical type of essence.
Because you're just a human doing. You're not a human being. You're not even thinking. You're not even like, you're not even feeling. You're not even giving emotions. And like, it's, I think people complain about AI, but we fed it. Google built it. Like all the searches.
Well, and I mean, and also too, it's been around a lot longer than we think that it's been around. It's just now in a consumer capacity of it being utilized in technology, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing too, to May's point, if you guys watch Gary Vaynerchuk, that's his big thing over these last couple of months, is like, we're now moving into social media is dead. We're moving into the in-person era.
People want that. Yeah, they
Because
want
they
that
want to
connection back.
need it.
They're lonely.
Correct.
They're lonely, and some of this is human made, right? I can't remember the country, but it basically where they saw their economy shift because they used to pick apples by hand. Was that Australia, Jackie?
I'm not sure.
Anyways, so then they made the machine. So then the kids didn't want to pick apples anymore. So they're like, okay, well, we need the apples to be picked. So then let's make the apple shaker, right? And so then it shakes the tree and then it funnels all the apples down, right? Well, then now in that country, there's not as many jobs because a machine overtook that. So it's like, but then you look at our kids. I mean, I can't even sometimes get my kids to bring their cup to the dish, you know, to the kitchen sink. I'm like, I get that. Some people don't want to, you know, go pick apples, right? So it's like this catch 2020. Some of this we're doing to ourselves, but I think, again, if you can leverage AI to do the mundane and then have really personal conversations and more meaningful touch points with people, I think that's the icing.
That's a sweet spot. That's a sweet, like, I want to say it because that's a sweet spot right there. Because what we're doing, I love that, because it's like what we've done. We used AI to be more efficient and have more connections with our
Right.
team,
Yeah.
and we're building cool tools, and we're building resources, and it allows us to be more with our family and do nicer things. And like, I think that's where the balance comes. It's when we use AI to think, and we use AI to
Make your decisions.
make your decisions, right? So it's like
Mhm.
you're using it to be closer, like Mario was saying, to be on the beach, to go. I'm riding motorcycles
Yeah.
with my son tonight. Like, I'll be able to do that stuff because this isn't even me. I'm actually AI right now.
Right.
We're not even
Coach,
Yeah,
We're not
yeah, here.
this is where this is where technology becomes a double-edged sword, right? And I
Right.
remember like the day when they invented the calculator. I'll never forget in school.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
okay, here's a calculator, but you can't use your calculator to do the work. You have to first learn how to do it. And they would walk us through the thinking process so we understood how to add, how to subtract, how to multiply and divide, right? Nowadays, you go to school, it's just the calculator does everything, and nobody's thinking anymore. In the AI, it's literally reminds me of the same thing. You're taking the human element, you're taking the creativity, that process of thinking, as you were talking about, Coach, out of it. And really, it is the dumbing down of people. Literally, using technology, you could see how people are being dumbed down. People don't know how to do basic math. I couldn't believe when my kids came home one day, like, oh, yeah. I'm like, show me division. Like, oh, we don't do that no more. I'm like, what? What do you mean you don't do long division anymore? They start taking out, skipping steps, and kind of getting, because everybody wants convenience and gets there faster and faster. And so I think that's really where there's a fine edge of leveraging AI where it makes sense, but also keeping that human portion to it, still evaluating what you're reading. At first, and here's the most dangerous part of AI. Nobody's even talking about, right? Let alone that it does everything for you, but who's feeding it? Think about this. At the end of the day, we all take it. Like, oh, this is great information we're using. He's like, yeah, but if it's false information, what good is it? Everyone's going to believe it.
Mhm.
So the data is only as good as what it's being fed, and what's being fed is by the people feeding it. So
Good point. And here's the thing too, like take it as just data, right? And you should still
Right.
test it yourself, because I have some clients who are literally making all their decisions based off what AI says. And I'm like, but you're ignoring your body awareness. Like our body has sophisticated intelligence.
yes,
Will
Divine
trump
intelligence.
any AI. And what is that trying to tell you right now? That's what
exactly. And May, you know how many times I'll do AI and it's wrong? It's literally wrong. Gives me the wrong information. Like, good thing I knew the answer. I'm like, wait, that's not right. And I'll ask you, like, oh, sorry, Johnny, I made a mistake. So, guys, if you're using AI out there, make sure you ask it double, triple, 3 times, because AI makes a lot of mistakes.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, Johnny.
Oh, go ahead, Gonzo.
I was just going to say, it's funny that Johnny says that, because I can't talk about what I do, but we have trainees and they have to drive. And what we're finding is trainees that learned how to drive with the Tesla and the auto drive feature, they're struggling in driving. They have no sense of direction. They get lost, and they literally cannot drive our emergency vehicle course. And they're failing out. It's crazy. And I'm like, how do you not know how to drive? And they're like, well, I learned how to drive with the Tesla. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, it has auto drive. I'm like, are you telling me that for the last whatever years, you've just been driving on auto drive? And they're like, yes. And so they're struggling. So simple things like sense of directions, how to get to places, they're losing that skill set, right? So it's so crazy that Johnny says that, because
I don't even know a child today that can tell me what direction they're facing.
Dude,
Based off of what's happening.
Dude, that's me though. That's me. Like I
know you're one of the
still don't
children
know
I'm
north,
talking
south,
about,
and east.
Jackie.
What's that?
We have been talking about this though lately, haven't we, Jackie?
About
We talk about
directions?
this
I
all
have
the time.
zero sense of direction, guys.
No.
I've lived here for I don't know how many years, and I still can't even find my way around. And Arizona's the easiest place because it's a
That's what I
grid.
was just gonna say.
Everyone tells me that.
you
They're
got
like,
no
"Oh, it's really
trees,
grid," and I'm like,
where
I
you're at.
don't know.
Try going to freaking Connecticut and getting to Johnny's house. It's freaking ridiculous.
crazy.
Well, there used to be maps back in the day as a kid.
Not
I knew
everyone's
how to read a
figuring
map.
everything, guys.
Yeah.
No.
But I just want to pinpoint something though. Johnny said that he remembers the first calculator. Did you mean like the first calculator in your classroom? Because
Yes,
you
not
make
the
it
very
sound
first
you
calculator
you
ever
were
made.
born in the 70s.
I'm not that old, but I remember in
He was
school,
born in
man.
the 20s.
Johnny,
I know,
1920.
but my favorite thing is when Abs' mom was all like, "How old's Johnny?" He was talking about the mortgage rates and the
Interest
freaking when he was a kid, or the interest rates.
1976, 12% interest you could earn in the bank. But a mortgage would cost you 16%.
Yeah.
Coach, you probably remember. You were around my age.
Yeah,
It was
my parents-
12% you could earn on your. I remember my mother was going to the bank to put money in the bank. So we're 12%.
Yeah.
But-
And my
Oh,
parents
wow.
bought their house for 25,000 in 1973.
With an interest rate of probably around 12,
Yep.
16%, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The mortgage
Yeah.
is like $200 or something like that.
Yeah,
Crazy. Like that's
Mhm.
inflation. That's buying
That's
power.
crazy.
Their house
there
worth
it is.
Yeah,
400
that's purchasing power.
Yep.
Right
They're worth
there.
400 grand now. So my dad's like, we grew out, and I'm like, no, you didn't. That is the
Yeah.
devaluation of your purchasing power. I'm like, Dad, where could you move to? He's like,
Right.
well, same neighborhood. Like you can sell your house and move in the same neighborhood. I'm like, that's not growth. If you would've
However, he can borrow against that equity tax
put-
free.
yes,
That's
correct.
where the benefit
Very
of the assets
very
come into
true.
place, because it's useless as a fact that you could sell it and buy a house. You'd be in the same exact house.
Right.
Yeah.
The house didn't get any better, right? The house didn't improve. In fact, you could argue the house got worse, right, Coach?
Correct.
The house aged. It's
Oh,
actually
yeah.
where it's
Yeah, 100%.
It's
It
a
needs to be
lot.
completely remodeled. Yeah, it'll take $100,000
Mm-hmm.
to remodel that thing with cost of goods now. So I have a question.
Interest
So-
rates for 3 clamshells. Sorry, there's a lot of like old age jokes in the chat right now that are really funny.
So where do you guys think we're going from here? Like, where do you think we're going from here in regards
Going
to
to Disneyland.
Disneyland? Yes, dude, I
I'm
love.
gonna go
Walt
get
Disney
it.
World.
What are you
Great.
doing now?
Yeah,
This
Build
is
your
now
own
Disney
brand.
World.
Build
You
your
gotta,
own thing.
you gotta take sovereignty over your own life and your own wealth. I don't. I know that's not where we're going, but I think that's
No.
what people.
It is where we're going. It is,
I guess
Jeremy.
so, yeah.
It's the new incarnation cross that is being ushered in 2027 is all about self-empowerment. We're leaving the tribal energy of, oh, doctor, save me. Oh, where you are outsourcing responsibility and it's all being turned inward, right? So that's the new incarnation cross that's being ushered in. And so it's right now, everybody's starting to see it. And especially I feel like with all the energies of this month, and Jackie knows more about this than me, but like with this juicy Gemini energy, Gemini does not work alone. And so I was listening to this other day, and it made me super excited because people are going to start to reform their friend group, right? And it's based off of personal goals and the direction that you want to go in. Because why would you hang out with somebody who has different set of beliefs than you, or they're not aligned with the same thing, or maybe they're distracting you from that big juicy goal that you're moving towards? And so it's interesting. Mario, he spoke about change and how it's hard for some people. And it's like right now, people just need to really learn to just relax and surrender to it and flow with it, because you're being rerouted for a good reason.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So with that in mind, like I completely agree with you, babe. It's like, so where do we think, like with those 3 scenarios I gave you guys, I would love to hear you guys' feedback. So I gave you 3 scenarios. Okay. It's either 3D chess. Iran's trying to take down America. We know it's a banker war. We know that. We know it's a banker war. We know it's for resources. So where do we think, is Kevin Warsh going to come in and save the day, lower interest rates, print money, or are we going to go into hyperinflate? Because I know we're going to inflation either now or in the back end, right? We're going to get it either way. So like, and I agree with what, tying it back to what May said, is people are going to get finally fed up and they're going to go internal. They're going to be done with that. And they're going to be like, listen, I'm taking sovereignty. That's what we teach. Like we teach sovereignty of your wealth, health, abundance, spirituality. So it's like, so what is the tipping point that's going to get people there? Is it now? Is it later? Is it like, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, what do you guys think?
I think we go hyperinflation into stagflation, because I don't think you can stop anything that's already in motion right now. I really don't. I think everything that's being played on is a political stage, and they, whoever new comes in, it's just to appease the public of thinking like, oh yeah, he's gonna lower interest rates, so we'll stay calm for another 3 months. I think that's what's going on. And it's only going to get worse. And then when he does come in, it's the false savior complex, right? Like Kevin Warsh is going to save me now, because he's going to bring the interest rates down.
See, that's
gonna
why
happen.
Trump,
Savior complex.
Yep,
right,
yep,
because Trump's not able to do what he needed to do because Iran and because Kevin Warsh isn't here yet. So that's why
that's exactly right.
That's why it's not working out yet. That's why it's not working out yet, right?
Yeah.
So
I believe that.
It's always going to be that way. That's what everybody does.
It
And
is
that's the main problem, and that's why the sovereignty is so important. Is like the goal is to understand what's happening and then take the things that you need to do. Hyperinflation. I mean, we'll have because what's hyperinflation is what, 50% a month. Is that
I
correct?
think so. Yep.
Off
I
the
can look
top.
it up.
I mean, there would have I mean, it could happen if we completely destroy our U.S. If we completely are focused on destroying the economy to reset it in some specific way. I would think it would go into deflation because we would need to deflate the dollar, and we could do that by pegging it back to something. It's just what that pegging back to is going to happen.
Because Neptune's in Aries,
and we would ruin the dollar, and then that would help us get to a starting point to move back forward. I'm sorry, Jackie, I didn't hear what you had said.
No, this is good. This is good.
Keep going, Jeremy. Sorry,
That's what because like I mean I personally really love Ray Dalio. Ray Dalio is I think one of the people that has like most of the right like ideas about what's going to happen, especially because we can look at cycles of these types of economies rising and falling. And in the changing world order, that's one of the things that he talks about when these these countries get to this place of inflation where you could go to hyperinflation, but then you need to completely devalue the entire thing. And to do that, rather than keeping the floating currency, you would repeg it to something. I just don't know what that repegging is going to go to. That's the thing that I don't know if it would go to gold. Do we even have any gold in Fort Knox? They never was some. I remember there was a couple of weeks where that's what everybody was talking about, and then it completely went away for some reason.
Right.
I know.
Well, okay. So
I think that we end up, I don't know about like hyperinflation or anything like that, but I think that we end up in some type of recession, right? JV, you brought up earlier the pandemic induced recession, right? And when I look about like, why didn't we get an altcoin season, right? Because we all got fooled. We thought we were going to get an altcoin season. We got that pretty big move after Trump won the election, and some projects ran, but you didn't get your typical alt season, right? And so when I look at like through the lens, I've said this before, through the business cycle, right? Where when you get towards the end of a business cycle, you have risk asset bleed into lesser risk assets. So you had, what did we see? We saw altcoins bleed into Bitcoin. We never got that altcoin season. You saw Bitcoin bleeding into the S&P 500, right? And as well as the S&P 500 has done and the Mag 7, if you put it compared to gold, right? You valued the S&P 500 to gold, it's been bleeding since 2022. I believe it's like down 50%, as much as the S&P has done so well when you compare it to gold, right? So I think that we end up in some kind of recession, not a pandemic-induced recession. But it's interesting, JV, that you talked about like we were under like a lockdown. We're going to get some version of kind of like an energy lockdown.
Yes.
And I believe that, right? We're going to get some kind of major collapse. And that, where is the opportunity lies? What's even more interesting in that we live in a matrix is in the last pandemic reduced recession, Bitcoin's bottom, or that floor that everyone swore was the lower, was $6,000. That's $6,000 held and held and held. And people continuously said that that was the low. And then it hit. And what happened? We melted down to 3K. Now, if you look today, what is the floor? It's 60K. And people continuously insist that 60K is the low. And what are we saying? That eventually we're going to break that low. And where are we going? Sub 40K. You could end up somewhere down 30K. So we'll see how that plays out. Right, not back to 6,000, but I think it's 10x, right? It's crazy. You've seen the same thing. We saw this. I did a whole call about Ethereum where we saw this whole like cycle 2 cycles ago where the price of Ethereum has literally matched back 2 cycles ago to where we went, where we were at like $100 and then we were at $1,000. Like when the low came in, the low was 100 and then the low was 1,000. Then the low was 150 and then the low was 1,500. And then it like ran up to 300. We ran up to 3,000. So it's almost like it's programmed in to some of these cryptocurrencies. But I think that's what ends up happening. I can't tell you when, but it's going to create one of the best kind of buying opportunities, one of the generational buying opportunities. So I think you just have to prepare and be patient. This rally that's happening right now, I think is just one big bull trap, right? In all markets, right? The S&P's booming, the NASDAQ's booming. Bitcoin's at 78. I think we could still push to 80K or higher, but I think that just traps people and eventually we go lower. But we'll have to see how it plays out.
So Gonzo, why do you think that like Cathie Woods, all these big, and I follow I follow you, man. You're a legend. And so I put out a tweet. There was a tweet that went out. Kathy Woods, all these big asset managers are predicting 250, 500 on the back end of 2026. And I put on there 40, and then it went on the news thing. It was like Coach JV predicts 40, and they all predict 250, 150, right? It became newsworthy, right? So why do you think that they all believe that?
I'm not sure if it's some ulterior motive or because they have to sell their book, right? Because these people are legends in their fields, right? It's Kathy Woods, it's Tom Lee, right? But look at what he's told. Like Tom Lee told you that Ethereum was going to go to 10K
over and over.
Go to 50. How many times did it tell you like this is just this is just that? And he's been completely and totally wrong, right? Like their BMNR has got absolutely obliterated. Now they continue to buy Ethereum, and I think at some point, when Ethereum hits its low, BMNR as a Ethereum digital asset treasury company is going to be a great investment, right? Because they're not going anywhere. But I think that it's going to continue to fall because Ethereum is going to continue to fall. And so I've gotten that question before, but what's funny is like when you look at like the best traders, like the best guys, like the best investors, when you see what their hit rate is, it's actually only 20% accurate, right? And I'm talking about the Tom Lees of the world that have made billions of dollars in the stock market and all of that. When you look at what their actual hit rate is, their win rate, it's only 20%, right?
So when you're saying win rate, is it their prediction or their ability to win in the markets?
Their ability to win in the market. So when they go out and they trade and they make a prediction and they invest in something, their win rate is only 20%. So what I'm saying is you could do your own research and you could have a way better hit rate than that. I mean, it's all going to be played out, but they've already been wrong, right? Kathy Woods has been wrong with her prediction.
Do you think that they've
all
do
been
that
wrong.
though because they have? Do you think that they consistently try to push that so that they can get their position to be like so that they can drive up the price of it?
Yeah,
to sell it?
Yes, exactly.
Right. That's the problem that I have with people following what other people are saying and to take and do some research on your own and to kind of look at it yourself, because a lot of the times I feel that people are pushing something to that level so that they can get it to that level so that they can sell it.
Yeah. I go back to Mike Novogratz. Like he was on an interview with someone and I texted Gonzo about this. Mike Novogratz was on an interview with someone. I can't remember who it was, but this was right after October 10th. And then, we had that first liquidation, it came back up. We were still above 100,000. And I remember thinking, this guy's a fund manager. And they just talked about them selling like millions of dollars out of Bitcoin and it not like they were able to get the seller out without fluctuating the price too much. And I remember thinking like, hey, if these big guys are selling, we should be like gone. Right. And then all of a sudden, boom, months later.
Interesting. Wow. So
next topic.
No, I'm just that's so astrologically. Is that the right astrologically? Where are we going?
I believe inflation, super hyperinflation. Yeah, because anytime Neptune has been in a fire sign, it's currently in an Aries, is we've had hyperinflation every time that's happened.
What do we think would need to happen, Jackie, in your opinion or anybody's opinion, to get to 50% a month inflation?
I think the Straits of Hormuz staying closed.
Yep.
Will like
that would be a huge driving.
That's
factor.
where I did like to me because I keep going over all these scenarios in my head and I'm driving myself crazy because I'm like when my client brought that up, I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. So maybe it is 3D chess. They're trying to push everything to America and like because it like you always say it's always it's a war of resources, and obviously oil is the old era. Okay, we're moving into a new era, so they bring us to our knees with the old era and then they bring in the new era as the solution. It's Hegelian dialectic: problem, reaction, solution, right? So it's like the problem is we have an energy crisis. That's the next pandemic. The solution is the technology that comes in to fix that somehow, right? It's like the satellites, Starlink, all these different things, right? A system that moves. We need liquidity. They need money.
It's a connected effect, right? If you think about Straits of Hormuz closed, so now this is happening in Australia. They've completely shut them down and putting restrictions on the amount of miles you can travel in your car.
That's crazy.
So think about that too. What are the effects? Okay, so if people can't travel, they can't go to work. So that alone, just shutting off a resource to the rest of the world, affects the production of countries, and then that has catalyst effects.
We need to
right?
build our building ASAP.
Yeah.
That just hit me. We need to talk.
Follow that
We need-
intuition.
Oh, you're on mute, buddy.
I'm sorry. I'm not saying that we can't get to hyperinflation. I'm trying to think of what would happen to
Oh.
have to this to happen. If we did hyperinflation,
Why do you want hyperinflation? You know that's a bad thing, right?
I'm not
No, no,
wanting it. It
No,
doesn't
I'm not
stop
saying
it
that I
from
want it.
He
I'm
wants to
trying
know what to look
I'm
for.
trying to make an argument of what
Oh.
would have to happen for it to happen. Because
Oh,
if it's 50% a month, 50% a month for an entire year means that $1 soda would cost $130 at the end of that 1 year.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Zimbabwe did that. Remember?
Dude, that
That
happened.
end of time, at
that
that end of
happened in
time, you would
Venezuela.
have to deflate. Correct. So
Nobody
what
is
happened
changing the
in
dollar.
You get
for a hot
hyperinflation.
dog at Costco.
Nobody
You get
will.
hyperinflation if you get. I think if you lose if we lose world reserve currency, that's going to be huge.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Mhm.
Huge, right? That'll be a big, I think, chunk to it if it's going to happen. I'm not sure we'll ever see hyperinflation here like we saw in Zimbabwe, where a loaf of bread cost $100 million. Right? It was like it
I
got
don't
ridiculously crazy. I just don't see that. But losing the world reserve currency is going to definitely bring inflation. I think significant inflation to the U.S.
Yeah.
It
Well,
will
that's
change
the whole design. That's the whole design of shutting off the Strait of Hormuz, is getting off the petrodollar, and that's why China's been accumulating so much gold to create their own system outside of the
question about
petrodollar.
it. They're
There's-
just
yeah,
slowly,
there's so many
they're
countries that
slowly weaning us off. Rather
Right.
than pulling the carpet out from underneath us, this is kind of so. And they always said that. Even Ray Dalio said it will be a slow process. And one day it's like, okay, you're no longer the world reserve currency. I'm just curious this year. I'm wondering what you guys think. Will this be the first time ever where we will no longer be on a single world reserve currency, but will we move to a basket of currencies? Will it be a combination of some portion made up of the US dollar, some portion made up of the Chinese yuan for sure, some portion maybe of gold, some portion of a cryptocurrency, and some portion of other countries, maybe the euro or the pound from the UK? I'm just curious what you guys think. Do you think this will be the first time ever we move more to a basket
Mm.
of currencies, or are we moving to China basically, which is you could argue is the next world superpower? If you look at Ray Dalio's video, he literally shows that China is literally next to be in line for the world reserve currency. I'm curious what you
It's
guys think.
interesting. It's interesting you asked that, Johnny, and I'll say my piece really quick because it's like right on the top of my mind. Is because we're moving into this era of Aquarius. Aquarius is all about community, and May was talking about this, right? So people are longing for community, and I feel like there's just going to be a bunch of communities that begin to develop, and they're almost going to transact inner circally with each other. So I think that there's going to be some type of basket of
Multipolar.
various
Like
currencies.
there'll be a Warrior Academy currency that we and, the,
Exactly.
and so
correct.
like the XRP will exchange the
Yeah.
value. Like
Mhm.
XR, so my currency goes to feminine finance currency, and whatever the bridge is helps regulate that value, and it
Amen.
moves fast.
That's
Moves fast.
exactly what I believe.
So
Yep.
I want to show this real quick.
Yep.
Can
Sure.
you guys see this? Oh, what is that here? I think it's this.
No.
This is one Jackie brought to me. The world clock.
Look at that thing.
This thing is crazy.
Ridiculous.
Like China is. Look at this. So this is what we're looking at. Is our 343 million population. We're at 39 trillion in debt. 93% of our debt is external.
Yeah. If you don't think that that's bringing down the petrodollar, I don't know what else
Ooh.
is.
That means- that
I
means-
don't know what else is.
well,
Look
what's sad is our fate is in somebody else's hands, right? Look
Correct.
at China. Look at China.
Look at 14%.
Right.
So-
They own their destiny.
They own their destiny. That's what I was saying. And then,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this was the other narrative. This is what my client brought up. Okay. So he said, look at all the countries. Germany. Where was the other one at? UK, right? They're all struggling right now.
Yeah.
UK, they're all heading into like
Mhm.
pandemics, crisis,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Energy, because they all
Europe.
look at all the debt is outside.
That's
France,
exactly right.
270. America,
You know what
93.
I'm amazed, Coach? Look at India and China. There you go. Look at they've got control of their destiny for the most part.
Europe was the previous empire collapse.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, so now you know where we're headed,
So
Jackie.
they're still coming out of it. No, I know.
Yes.
That's the thing, though.
that's why I'm wanting to have the conversation. I'm
Yeah.
like, where are we heading to? Like, and when is this
That's
gonna,
where
like,
we're
yeah, that's where we're
We're
heading
headed
to.
to shit. Coach,
So-
get out of the dollar. And that's why we talk about diversification
That's
here at the
Bitcoin,
Academy.
It's all about assets.
assets,
Yep.
insurance. Like that's
Mhm.
why we're teaching this stuff to people. It's not like everybody's like, oh, it's you guys are fear mongers. And like, these are facts mongering. These are
Mhm.
facts. Like those are numbers that I just showed you guys. They're actual numbers of the reality of what we're facing, right? And so we're all sitting here arguing back and forth between, you know, this president's going to do this or this. This is the reality. This is the reality that we're living in right now. And the fact is, if you take it down to a micro level, Americans are at 1 trillion in credit card debt. 1
Crazy.
trillion in credit card debt.
Yeah, that's on the clock.
The private credit markets.
But
Go
if we own any of those assets and we do hit hyperinflation, those assets are essentially going to become worthless because we're not going to be able to sell them to anybody.
Mm.
So the
Say that
only
again.
opportunity is
What do you
to
mean?
then crash the economy.
Correct. Yep. That's why. Well, that's not why I think that's why Bitcoin's coming in, and all these elites are moving over into Bitcoin and these alternative assets. Gold is at an all-time high for central banks, right? They're like, hey, we're going to head over here while you guys implode on yourself.
I don't think it's necessarily about gain. I think it's preservation of wealth, getting to the core root of whatever is going to back the next currency.
Correct. I
And-
agree with that.
yeah.
I agree with
And-
it. That's where it's headed.
And Jackie,
It
right
has
now,
to be something to then re-establish the dollar as something, and that's where I think that Bitcoin could play a big part in it.
Hmm.
yeah, I think Bitcoin plays a big part in it. And as much as crazy as it sounds, still gold and silver, right? Ultimately, at the end of the day,
I
the
agree.
only true real value, any money, because everything else is debt, is a liability, right? Any other fiat, but gold and silver, we know because the value itself is in the metal, is real money. So
Mhm.
I think if you're looking to protect yourself, right, and diversify, your best bets, obviously crypto is some piece of it. Bitcoin, there's a risk there, but gold and silver stood the test of time, and probably real estate too, only because of the fact that it could have cash value, it could have an appreciation,
Well, and because people need to live
and
in
cash
it.
flow.
Like we need gold and silver for stuff.
Right. So
Right.
and that's what I think. You see massive hyperinflation, people will flock to gold and silver, and that will end up becoming, you'll see that capital preservation as Jackie was talking about. And I think really anybody who, Coach, you said where we headed. Well, maybe where we're headed is potentially in the space of a massive devaluation of all currencies for that matter.
Mhm.
The real question is, what do you do about it? And I
Yeah.
think, the question here we talk about, right? It's going into assets outside of those that can appreciate, like we talk about in the Capital Deal program. And I think as long as people are diversifying, getting out of cash and into assets that we know have stood the test of time, like gold and silver, and of course, I think, Bitcoin, crypto, you're at least positioning yourself in a position better than most of the world. Because right now, most of the world still thinks, crypto's a scam. A lot of people don't hold precious metals. I'm surprised how many people, we do a lot of coaching, and I'll ask,
Yep.
nope, don't have any. I'm like, really? You don't have any gold or silver? And they just don't. And they're in cash. And to me, that's a risky place to be,
Yeah.
especially where we're headed.
That's interesting you said that, Johnny. I just said that on our Wednesday call inside of the academy, and that I feel like is the actual barbell strategy that people need to be having, is
Yes.
totally on the side of technology with Bitcoin and crypto, and then the other
Old
side is
school.
hard tangible assets. Yeah, that are,
100%.
like you said, that's true wealth. That's true money.
The best of it's all worlds. So, guys, if you want to learn how to do that, you got to sign up and join for the Capital Deal program, and we will teach you how to do that in our appreciation course.
What can you explain what barbell is? A lot of people don't realize what barbell is.
Yeah, barbell. So barbell, if you think about a barbell, right, at the gym, lifting weights, you've got the two weights on each end, and then in the middle, there's very little to nothing or thin amount. So when we talk about a barbell strategy, it's usually two classes or two assets on either end of the spectrum that you can position yourself into. And so that's what I meant by barbell strategy is you're kind of heavy on the future tech side with cryptocurrencies, and then you're heavy on like the old school side with the gold bugs of tangible assets.
Mhm. The
This
top
is where
three
Peter
things-
Schiff.
Oh, can I say this really fast, Johnny? Because I'm
Yeah.
like, the top three things that I invested in this morning was number one, my cash value life insurance policy. Number two, I bought a nice little chunk of silver. And number 3 is I bought Bitcoin.
Nice. That's
Let's
sexy.
go.
You may, you literally. I've
Got
never
me a good one. I got me a good
so
one.
impressed. There you go. You definitely got a good one, Coach.
And I didn't dollar cost average either. And it's so funny, like I had to text Gonzo and like tell him, because I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta tell somebody that I broke my rule. And I don't know, I'm big on goals. So this morning I was like, just hit your goals, because then you don't have to think about it. So I hit all my goals this morning, and now we're talking about this right
I'll
here.
tell you.
With that, did you get coin silver or?
Yeah, I
Bitcoin?
got bars, and then coins. And what's the company, JV, for the silver? The bars are so
Kirk Elliott.
beautiful.
Kirk
Yeah.
Elliott.
Kirk Elliott. Because Jackie, do you remember what's on the bars? It's like this beautiful picture on the front, and I don't know. I'm a girl, so I like pretty things. But it's almost like a biblical. I felt like it was like a
It's
biblical
like an
style.
angel like type thing. Like mine has like an angel like with wings on it or something like that. It's some. I'll have to look at it.
Oh,
when we get
was
home.
it a phoenix rising?
Phoenix? Something like that. Isn't it like something with wings on it?
I thought it was like a couple birds with like the 3 stars of.
Oh yeah. I'll have to look at it when I get home.
Let
Yeah.
me double check, because I felt like it was so astrologically matched to like the current time. I'm
Yep.
gonna double check that. Keep
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah,
That's
you know,
awesome.
I always brag about May because it's like a lot of women are looking for like handbags and shoes, and she's buying Bitcoin and
Bitcoin,
silver,
gold,
and I'm like,
silver.
God,
I love it.
that is so sexy. Like that's hot, girl.
And so smart. No doubt about it.
I'm just keeping up with you guys. I'm keeping up with you guys. So
Yeah, you know, listen, you're the
for
average. You're the
inspiring.
average of the 5 people you hang out with. They say, right?
That's
So
right.
there you go. You're hanging out with
know.
good people.
I know.
That's
and
so
that's
true, man.
energy right now. Like, why would you risk it? Why would you risk? And this comes from, and I'm not picking on anybody, I'm not trying to be rude, but the more that you study about masculine and feminine energy and immaturity,
Yep.
once you see that shit, you cannot unsee it. And it's like, why would I put myself in a room with immature people?
Right.
Yep.
We
It's
call
true.
we call it cutting the boat anchors. If you
Mhm.
hang around with people and you feel they're pulling you down,
Mhm.
you cut the
Yep.
boat anchor, you let them out, and you really want to attach yourself to hot air balloons, right? People that are flying, that are rising.
Yes.
That's how you're going to get better, right? Is
So
surrounding yourself around people who are actually smarter than you, so you can learn from them.
I
Mhm.
found it. I found what
What you
was
got,
on
Jax?
the,
What'd you
the
find?
silver bars.
Talk to me, Goose.
You
Oh,
ready?
show us. Can we get a
Are you
picture?
ready?
Can we
I
see
don't-
it?
Show us how much silver you have.
I don't know how.
Can you see it?
Can
Oh.
you see?
That camera doesn't work, Jackie.
Oh, do it. This
Cameras-
one.
the camera's in front
This
of
way.
you.
No, Jackie, this way. Face up.
This one.
Good.
Oh, wait. No, you
Send
can't.
it to, can you send
All right,
the
I'm
picture
just gonna
to
describe.
D and
I'm just
Gene,
gonna
and
describe
then
it to you.
put it up there.
She's showing her
Jackie,
best.
send me the
account.
text. Text it to me, Jackie. I'll get
Hack
on it.
me.
She's got
hack me.
$30 million.
No, I'm
Holy
just kidding.
shit.
30 million. Oh, yeah.
I do.
Is that our seed phrase, Coach? Can you see the
Yes.
I know. I'm probably gonna get hacked after this. Just kidding. Don't say that. Okay. What is on the silver bars that May bought back
People
when?
want to
Is-
know.
Yes.
Inquiring minds want to know. Come on, Jack.
It's a kangaroo, as well as it looks like a bird, an ostrich. It's a kangaroo and an ostrich, and there's 5 stars in the sky, and it says the Southern Cross.
Oh, cool.
Mhm.
So,
Did you pay a surplus for the
Decode it.
design on it?
do you know what that means?
I have no idea.
I don't
I
know.
really don't, but it's just so pretty that I was like, oh my gosh. And I don't know.
Research. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go. There
Fun
you
fact,
go.
because I like bags, Louis Vuitton bags appreciate in value 6 to 8%.
Actually, I heard
on
Coach
average.
bag. Yeah, Coach and Louis Vuitton. Don't those things go through the roof?
Really? Seriously?
You could just
I know,
you
I
could just
heard
add
Coach
that to
bag
the
are-
to the
What?
to the to the I could just see the slide for that with the pictures of the bags inside of Ascension for the
The appreciation.
appreciating assets, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
Bags.
yeah, there you bags. I will
Designer
say
bags.
this, I will
That
say
is
this about
great.
metals. I had looked over the charts, and like if you looked at the 2008 collapse, the financial collapse, and people that were going to retire, right, with their 401ks and all of those kind of plans, it took 5 years for the S&P 500 to catch up to where it was at before the collapse, right?
Yep.
And if you were to look at like gold, right, specifically, I'm not saying that metals can't correct, because I've said this before, they can correct 20-30%, but they have a tendency to recover faster. So after the 08 collapse, gold actually recovered within a year. I think it took about a year to recover, and it made a new all-time high. So if we do end up hitting some kind of recession and you get a correction, you still can get a new all-time high on gold. And right now, the all-time gold is
Do you
still
think
really
that
okay.
do you think that that's because of a lagging indicator of people taking their money outside of a crash and of a recession and then dumping it inside of, say, gold or a commodity? Because like you have people that are like, oh shit, everything's going to crap. Then there's this like news flow that's coming along with that to put the money into something that's safer. And traditionally we think of like gold. So then people put their money into gold, and then that's why it's able to rebound faster.
And then it rebounds faster. Yeah, that's a good point. Yep.
No,
Yeah,
but I
that's
love
what the
gold.
chart
I
shows.
have so much gold
How
not
much?
at my house.
How much? Just kidding.
Yeah, remember
quite
the
a
three
bit.
precious. Remember, if you buy gold, it's still a precious. You should buy 3 precious metals:
I
gold,
know.
silver,
Bullets.
and lead.
The problem is I buy the leaded silver bullets in case of werewolves.
Well, there you
never know
go.
what's
Okay,
gonna
so if
happen.
you're a silver bull, if you're a werewolf, you're not a silver bull.
And here's a tip on gold. There's, for those of you that want the exposure to the price action of gold, there is a crypto tokenized version of it, PAX-G.
Mhm.
So I usually tell people, listen, if you can own the hard asset or, obviously get it through a custodian, but there's also PAX-G. So tokenized version, keep it. I think it's probably available in Coinbase. I know it is in Kraken, and it gives you that exposure to the price action.
And to build on that, if you guys want exposure in your 401ks or IRAs through iTrust Capital, you can actually buy gold and silver. Right. Not only do they offer crypto in their retirement account, but they also offer access to gold and silver in there as well. So you can get some purchase.
Did you guys see the announcement?
Yeah.
Yeah, stocks.
It's really
Stocks.
awesome.
Stocks.
Yep.
And now they just launched
Nice.
stocks. That's right. They're just like they're just growing wild like crazy.
iTrust is freaking awesome.
Dividends.
STR.
Johnny,
Yeah.
tell them about iTrust, because for me, part of my feminine finances is all about safety first wealth strategies. And I consider iTrust Capital as one of those because of their closed loop system.
Yeah, I'd be happy to talk about it. Boy, do I wish that was around 3 years ago, man, when I had a Atomic wallet and Atomic wallet got hacked and they stole all my crypto. Had something like this been around then, it would have been fantastic. So guys, if you're not aware, there's 2 things, man, that I love absolutely about iTrust Capital. One, I love their Roth IRA. So I'll talk about that in a minute. But what you're talking about is the PCA account, premium custody account. And what's awesome about that is they created an account where once you transfer your crypto assets into it, it becomes a closed loop system, which means when you withdraw, there's only one way to withdraw and one way only. And the only withdrawal option is to go back to your bank account, which means even if they get hacked, in my event where I had gotten hacked, had I had a PCA account back then, the hacker would have got in, sold my crypto, and then if they went to withdraw, it just would have went right back to my bank account, and I could have just sent it right back over and bought my crypto again. Worst case, I would have paid it back. Right. So that's the beautiful thing of iTrust Capital. They create these beautiful products and tools. So like if you're looking to basically create a profit plan, right? And you guys know where to do that with Merlin, smartest way to track your crypto. What you do is you use Merlin, you create an exit strategy with the tools now that we created with the Pro Tools, where you can actually create an exit strategy like Smart Money does. Then you say, okay, well, since I'm going to sell this, I want that money readily available on an exchange, May. But any exchange you put it on can be at risk, right? But at least if you're going to leave it on an exchange, you're better off leaving it on an exchange where the worst case scenario, if it gets hacked, is it comes back to you. So I use my iTrust Capital PCA account and all the, like Coach will do a 50-50 plan, I'll do a 40-60. Well, the coins I know I'm going to sell, I want to leave those readily available on my iTrust account. And now I know they're safe. Worst case, they're getting sent back to me. And when my targets hit, boom, they get sold right in my iTrust account. And they're sitting there beautifully safe, and then I can withdraw the cash out and take that out. So iTrust Capital, guys, if you have not created an account, I believe there's a link below. I know we've got some link somewhere. I'm not sure where the link is, but there's a link here at the Academy. Click on that link and sign up. You can sign up today for it. But there's another tool that's awesome. They have a Roth IRA. So you can actually buy crypto, May, with your Roth IRA. Now, the beautiful thing of a Roth is any growth that happens in a Roth, as long as you hold it for 5 years and you're over 59 and a half years old, and we're all going to get there someday because we're all healthy, beautiful people. Once we get to 59 and a half years old, you're going to be able to think about where we are today. And right, we're all different ages here, right? But imagine we all have 5, 10, 15, 20 years of crypto growth happening. And as that growth happens, Uncle Sam's going to love to tax the shit out of everybody. but not if you got an iTrust Capital Roth IRA, because every single penny that grows in there is your penny. You don't pay a single dime in taxes on that. So those are two great products. I love iTrust Capital for it. And I encourage everybody to go.
$7,000 you can put into a Roth every year, Johnny, or 8,000 if you're out.
Yeah. So depending on what you make, if you make under 240 grand a year or somewhere in that ballpark, don't quote me. It's the rules change every year, but so you can put up to 8 grand a year. But I'll give you the trick. Here's the loophole.
Well, and you have to use this loophole if you make over 252 or
if you make over 250, what you can do is two things. You can roll over, by the way, as much money as you want from a prior 401k. There's no limit on that. So if you got let's say you work for a job and you left and you have an IRA center, or if you just have IRAs, you can roll it over. You got to convert. You got to pay taxes. That's what I did, but who cares, right? Pay the taxes now versus not having to pay the taxes later. The second thing you could do is if you're self-employed, you can create your own SEP IRA and you can fund that up to $70K a year. And then you can roll that $70K into a Roth IRA. Now you're going to pay taxes on that, but at least you can get it into, because the whole goal is how do you get more than $8K?
Right, and you don't have to pay taxes on the gain.
And you don't pay taxes on the gain later. You just pay tax on the $80K that you put in. But it's well worth it if you believe, like we all believe, that crypto is going to go up in the future. Well, then I'm going to be betting on the future is going higher. Then I want to put the money in now, right? Versus later when it's going to appreciate over time.
That's one of the biggest benefits. Now, Johnny, I do have a question for you. I get asked this a lot, is like people that are very hardcore into decentralized finance. With iTrust Capital, you have to rely on a banking system still because the close end is still on the bank. Correct. Do you foresee in the future, though, or anybody on here, that if a banking system goes away, how would that affect that piece of it? Or I guess the question is, do you foresee banks going away with this stuff happening, or where do we see that happening and how that relates to the decentralization?
Two very different questions. Do I support banks going away? Yes. Do I think banks going away? Absolutely.
Yeah, that's true.
Zero chance.
I support banks going away too. Yes.
Zero chance. Banks are going completely away. They have too much power, too much control, too much money. They're too established. They'll just wrap their hands around crypto, and they will own a piece of crypto and how the system works. That's what I believe. I could be wrong, but you asked me my opinion. That's what I think. I think they just have they've just been in control for too many years and have too much power to rescind it all. So I'm not so sure you'll see that discount. Will there be decentralized apps and opportunity? Of course, absolutely. And of course, the thing is, when you have those, that falls more on the user now to make sure you know what you're doing. And that's where you have to be somewhat semi-technical. And I think for a lot of the boomers, Jeremy, that's going to be a struggle for them. A lot of them want to be handheld. And so, but this is where innovation will come in. Once, if we could ever get the freaking Clarity Act and we get that passed, then if Congress gets off their butt and gets that done, it's not Congress, it's the banks holding up. But once we get past that, then you'll see innovation come into space where companies will figure out, okay, how do I solve for a boomer? How do I make it easy so a boomer can simply use DeFi and be able to feel comfortable with doing it without realizing they're going to lose all their money if they type one wrong number? And right. And so I do think that'll get solved in the long run. And I do think it'll be simplified. And I think you'll see some disconnects, from the traditional financial banks. But do I think banks are going away completely? Or will they get completely wiped out? I think there's too much at stake for them to lose, and they'll find a way to stay in the game. That's my 8 cents. I don't know what everybody knows.
Can I add something about like DeFi, right? Because, last bear market, it was a centralized lending system that broke, right? It was Voyager, Celsius, all from the contagion of Terra Luna, right? And so this cycle, the big thing that just happened was we literally had, I think it was 10 to 15 billion that was withdrawn out of DeFi lending apps because of what happened with the Kelp DAO Act, right? And so Johnny made a comment about you have to be a little bit more technical. You could be more technical, but at the end of the day, you don't know what is on that back end, right? And that's exactly how that Kelp DAO hack just occurred, right? Where they're a liquid staking platform for Ethereum, right? Where you stake your Ethereum and you're getting your yield, and then they give you a derivative, right? They give you an ETH equivalent, call it ST-ETH, right? And the whole point is that now your Ethereum is earning yield. You get your ST-ETH and you can take it out cross-chain into other lending platforms and earn yield, borrow it, or whatever, right? So everyone thought that DeFi was good to go, especially after what happened in 2022 with the centralized lending and everything going bankrupt. And what we found out is that it's not so safe. It's really about what the project is doing to kind of have that security, right? And so basically the way the hack happened is in order to like you deposit your ETH, you get the ST ETH, there's layer 0, right? They're basically like the messaging standard inside of DeFi. And in order to release the funds that say, hey, you deposited $100,000 in ETH, you get staked ETH, right? Layer 0 has different levels of security, call it, right? They're called DVNs. And a lot of the platforms say, well, if 4 of the nodes, right, the validator nodes, agree, like 4 of 4, say that you actually deposited the $100,000 in ETH, we will release the funds, right? And everyone's just assuming that, yeah, well, they're probably using the best security ever. Wrong. Kelp DAO used a 1 of 1 DVN. That means that it was one node that had to approve what was deposited, saying
Which is like the worst possible security.
Exactly, right? So that's exactly what the Lazarus group did. They contaminated that part of layer 0, saying, yep, we deposited 200 and something million dollars in ETH, released the funds. They released the funds. They went to Aave and then they borrowed against it, right? And it left Aave with 200 something million dollars in bad debt. So what I'm saying is we're still very early in DeFi, and these kind of things got to get worked out, because you saw a mass exodus out of all of the DeFi platforms in the tune of about 10 to 15 billion. Wow. And so you could think that, you know, hey, I'm earning yield and I'm doing the right things. But if that team isn't using the right security, you could still kind of lose all your crypto, right? So we have to pay attention to that.
Did you say they were called the Lazarus group?
Yeah,
Lazarus.
they're the North Korean hackers.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
funny.
It was a pretty high end.
They're the ones that did the atomic wallet too. They're a nasty group.
Yeah.
They're the ones that attack most groups. Most crypto. They're from North Korea, from what I heard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Should we answer questions?
Let's do it.
And if
real
it's from North Korea, that means wouldn't it just be the government? Because from my understanding, you can't just walk around North Korea and start your own groups and do stuff.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yes, they're funded by the North Korean government.
I'm not gonna go into that rabbit hole, but we'll just
channel gets shut down. Just kidding. Yeah, let's say, but before we do that, I just want to let you guys know all these beautiful souls right here. We're going to be in Las Vegas next week. So come say hi, see us at the Merlin booth. We are going to be live, ready to rock and roll. So please come say hi. Everybody on here is going to be there. Our whole team is actually going to be at XRP Las Vegas. I think a few of you are going to be at Bitcoin conference, I think, out there, slanging and gangbanging. So come see us out there. So let's go into questions.
All right. Here's the first question from Motivation by the Week. Coach JV says to take profits along the way and such, but then doesn't that ruin the compounding effort over time? And it adds regret and stress. What if markets continue going up? Nobody knows.
The key question is right there where it says, what if? What if will destroy your portfolio over and over and over and over and over and over again? So instead of saying what if, I'm going to walk you through the scenario from 2020 to 2022. I said, what if it collapses? And so I pulled profits. That's why we created Merlin. I pulled profits off the table and I compounded in safety. I moved into defense. That's how we code our Crapple DR system. So I moved into insurance. We moved into building cash flow. And so what happened was I pulled profits off the table because I didn't focus on what if, because we all thought the Simpsons were going to tell us it's going to be a 589. So just like some influencers are telling us it's going to be at 1,000 by the end of this year once again. And so you say, what if it's going to be at 1,000? Well, you're saying what if? I'm pulling profits, I'm building cash flow, and then when it doesn't and it collapses, I buy everybody's crypto. So 10-10-2025 is the greatest example. I pulled profits when Trump got elected at $3.40, somewhere around there. I think it was when
270.
270. When it shot up 270, sorry. So I was dollar cost average at 50 cents. Everybody's like, it's going to go higher. It's going to go higher. So I pulled my first target. Actually panicked a little bit. I called them like, should I pull profits? Pull profits. I pulled profits, put it on the sideline in a stable coin, 10-10-2025, crypto collapsed, and I bought back in. You should always pull profits. We're in markets to win. What you guys hold as retirement, the elites trade back and forth based on microeconomics. So always pull profits, always secure it, leave some on the table inside the container to build that foundation. And so you should always pull profits because you can't play what ifs. What ifs will destroy your portfolio.
Coach, and if I could build on top of sorry, I don't know if you're done.
Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, if I can build on top of that. So a couple things. First of all, I love this question. What if it continues to go up? Listen, guys, there's only one stock chart I've ever seen that just went up over time. Anybody know what it was? It was the Bernie
Amazon?
Madoff chart. It was the
Oh,
Bernie
oh,
Madoff
yeah,
chart.
yeah,
The only
yeah.
one that
Yeah,
goes
Bernie
up.
Madoff.
And let me tell you why it goes up. Because it was a Ponzi scheme that came all the way down. So first of all, this is the number one mistake everybody makes in investing in anything. And this is why you end up becoming a rubbernecker. Because everybody's worried about trying to catch the top. Or what if it keeps going up? I call this FOMO MOMO. Fear of missing out is causing people to miss out. Because this is exactly the mentality. Thank you for this question, by the way, Motivation. Motivation by the week, 5586, whatever. Thank you for it. This is the thing. People are so afraid that it's going to keep going up that they won't sell. And what's going to happen? It isn't going to keep going up.
It's not.
Because there's only so much money. Most markets are zero-sum game. There's only so much money that's going to come in, and that's it. Then the party stops, and it's like, okay, there's no more money coming in. Things are going to start pulling down. The elites and the smart money, they have certain levels where they know they're going to take profits, and they're going to do it, and things will come down. But the retailer has this mentality of, oh, it's just going to keep going up, so I'm going to hold. And then you become a rubbernecker. You watch it go all the way up and all the way down. So don't do that to yourself. You're better off taking profits. I'll give you a perfect example. I'll never forget. I was talking to Coach, and our exit targets were hitting, and he had said to me, his target got hit. It was Cardano, I think it was, and you were struggling to sell it. And then you said to yourself, I was struggling hitting the button too at $2.45. And I remember your words, Coach. You said to me, you know what, Johnny? I made a plan. I'm going to stick to it.
Yep.
And boy, am I so glad you said those words to me. And that's why I'm repeating it right now to everybody else. Because I said, you know what? He's right. I'm going to do it. And I hit the sell button. And guess what? Cardano kept going up. And I had this feeling like, she's going to keep going up. And then fast forward 6 months later, it went down to 30 cents. Ask me if I was pissed when I saw 245 where it was at 30 cents. The point is, guys, markets are always going to go up and down. Yep. You're better off taking profits when you can, and then you can buy back later. And if you made profit, why are you upset?
Yeah.
Why are you upset? Nobody's saying to sell everything. Sell 10%. Put some money in your pocket and hold some for the future.
That's my biggest beef with the price predictions things going on, because it's just it does that to people where they're just like, what if, and you play what if all day. You can do that scenario all day, or shoulda, woulda, coulda. Stop shooting all over yourself and do something, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's true though. It's like the what if scenarios. What if it's going to do? What if Kathy Woods is right? What if like what if? But it's usually like we just gave you Tommy Lee. Like how many times has been wrong? Kathy Woods has been wrong, right? All the news stations, when they tell you it's going to 250.
I was just gonna say that it's almost like they're all hedge fund managers.
Hedge fund managers. Yep. Good question.
You have to be very
Great question.
cautious of that. Next question.
All right. The next question comes from Atlantic Living. May, Jackie, guys, a lot of your listening group can't access iTrust Capital. Nobody in Canada and other areas can use it. Any other company similar we could use? We can't use CNB either.
Gotta stumped us on that one.
You guys gotta get out. I got a solution.
Yes.
Get the hell out of Canada.
Yeah. There you go. Move there.
Why are you in Canada? I'm just kidding.
Right, I know. I was just thinking,
We're
Put
international.
the blame on them.
what about a Wyoming LLC? Because like for some of the chats too, me and Jackie, we just made an international protocol for our Freedom Insurance firm. Link is also in the chat if you guys wanted to talk about that, or you can email us. There's certain criteria with that. And one criteria that we found that has worked for some of our clients is some of them had a Wyoming LLC. But I'm not sure. Jackie, do you think like Canadians could do the whole Wyoming LLC to?
Could they?
Absolutely. So I actually have a client that I got approved on the insurance side that is international, had a Wyoming LLC, and she was able to get approved on the insurance side. She said it was fairly easy to get it set up. I'm not sure who she utilized for that.
Could KKOS help with that? You think?
I don't know.
Might be able to. I just don't know, like if they deal with international clients or not.
We'll have
But
to
I'm
find out.
sure.
Yeah, I've been wanting to find that out too.
I think on their branding it says U.S. clients, but I could be wrong on that. We can check.
Yeah.
But the Wyoming LLC could possibly work because then you would set up, that's basically setting up a business. And then you could get a bank account, a U.S. bank account.
Well,
And
so
then
my
you can
question,
connect that to iTrust.
Atlantic Living, I don't know if you're still in the chat, but if you're still in the chat, what are you trying to create the closed loop system that they provide? Because Canada doesn't have IRAs, because you guys have your TSPs or whatever they're called. So I didn't know if Wealth Simple or some other platform that's Canadian focused offer those types of things utilizing the vehicles that you utilize in Canada.
And the other important thing too, Jeremy, is that even if you do that, you are still liable to pay the taxes. So
Yeah.
like if you're trying to do it so that you don't have to pay the taxes, that's not going to work. You
Correct.
still have to do your tax.
Yeah, once you're tied to the U.S.,
You're
guys,
paying tax.
there's
You're really tied to the
no
U.S.
matter where you go, you will be paying taxes.
Like
So
I have a client that
let's
has
know
an
that.
Airbnb
Yeah.
in Mexico, and they have to file in Mexico. They also have to file it in the United States, and then pay money to both of them, and then file a separate form to get a refund based off of the money that they paid to the other. I'm sorry, it's just ridiculous.
Make sure too, like guys, like I know there's a lot of great information online, but there's a lot of shitty information online where people are like, they think like a lot of people think they set up a Wyoming LLC. You're not going to pay taxes in crypto. Like you have to really, really educate yourself on that and work with a really good trust attorney. So just be careful with that type of stuff. There's a lot of false online of people throwing like, oh, set up this type of trust, or so just make sure. We work with KKOS. They're fantastic.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I don't know if this is brand new, but Mario and Jackie might want to know this. I can send you the article, but this is just, I guess this came out this morning. Google's plans also to invest up to $40 billion into Anthropic.
Yep, I saw that.
I didn't see that yet. That is ridiculous. That means that every AI company is going to be owned by every AI company.
Do you know how many features?
That's what I'm
one big
saying. It's
circle.
all
It's
money.
one big
cycles.
circle.
It does not exist.
Bubble of all time.
That's the
That's
bubble.
why I'm yeah.
So this
it's
is like
gone.
people need to understand that's the bubble right there.
That is the bubble.
It's all the ecosystem. It's a self-fulfilling ecosystem that
They're money cycling.
they're money cycling. Yep. Like that's crazy, man.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, because Google, even take it a step further. So Microsoft is an investor in OpenAI. Okay, they're the largest investor in OpenAI. Microsoft is also an investor inside of Anthropic. Apple has a relationship now with Google to integrate Gemini into Apple Intelligence. Okay, Google, which owns DeepMind, technically, in my opinion, the best one, they now have just made a $40 billion investment into Anthropic to probably then at some point in time integrate it into Google DeepMind or vice versa to make it a better AI platform. And then like Perplexity, which is a really big one, they just use everyone else's AI large language models, which is essentially just Anthropic and ChatGPT and Google at this point, and they're all owned by themselves. This is the most ridiculous thing ever.
There is one.
Oh,
There
yeah.
is one thing though that I really believe that we're going towards, which is like the internet. The internet brought about visual, right? So we stare at the screens the whole day. We go to websites, we do Zooms and all this stuff. I do believe that AI will allow us to potentially transition away from screens. So that will be a good thing, because I do think that websites will become more of just text and data for agents, for AI agents. And so then we just ask Alexa or ask Siri. We just ask the question. I hope my Alexa doesn't. Oh, she's listening. Hold on. So,
go ahead.
yeah.
Mark, sorry.
So I think that is going to happen in the near future, where we're not going to have to stare at screens as much, and we're just going to be able to speak to these AI agents. But I think it's interesting what Jeremy was saying, like the involvement that we have between all the big companies and even AI companies with other AI companies. They're all betting on each other, which honestly is ultimately a good thing too. Anthropic has just been killing it this year. They've released more than 120 new features just this year alone. They've just been shipping out features like it's nothing. So the advancement is taking out really quick, and so that's awesome to see.
Right, but I agree with you, Mario, that it's good that they're supporting them, but it's so consolidated that eventually at some point in time, when these valuations don't hold up, the larger company is going to go in and buy the smaller company. It's just going to be one company.
yeah.
that owns
Correct.
AI.
None of these valuations are even accurate
No.
either.
They're not even
no.
profitable.
They're not.
Oh, 100%.
It is just crazy.
And
The
that's
good thing,
sorry. Go
I was going to say, like, one of the other major use cases for blockchain, I think it goes along with the AI trade, right? Because you guys, Mara just mentioned AI agents. How are these AI agents going to, we know how they're going to communicate, but how are they going to run money, right? How are they going to be able to make deals for you, right? I think that's going to be done through blockchain, through digital wallets, and then running blockchain rails, right? So it's the next major use case of blockchain is incorporating AI, having a digital wallet that you fund, and then as crazy as when your self-driving car is driving and you need to get to the airport and you're late and someone else is driving to get a cup of coffee, the two AIs will discuss it, and then you'll pay one AI fractions of a cent so that he can pass you in the lane so that you can make it to the airport. I think that's what's coming.
That's
and
the
it's gonna
world
be
that
built
I
on
dream
blockchain.
of.
Yes, all on blockchain.
Man.
Sorry, JB, go ahead.
Did you guys ever watch that movie real quick? And we'll get right back to questions. I know we got 10 minutes left, but it had Justin Timberlake and it had to do with time.
Oh, where he could count. They would have
Yeah,
to,
you hated
value.
time.
once their
That was
time
the
was out, they
currency.
were dead.
Dude, that movie, it remains in the back.
That's a good movie.
It remains in the back of my mind. With
Remember, they tell us what's happening in movies.
That's exactly
Mhm.
You
true.
never know.
Okay, next question.
Next question.
Next.
Couple more questions and we gotta close this popsicle stand down.
You have a popsicle stand?
Yeah.
All right.
May
the
wants
next question
Chipotle.
comes from
I
Thomas
added you.
Palmer.
No.
May, we gonna see Buddy?
What about an old pension for
He
Roth?
keeps ringing the bell.
Oh.
Yeah. So is that you can transfer an old pension to a Roth?
hmm
Yep.
But
Correct.
it would pay the fee. Yeah.
You can roll it. Yeah, you can roll. You can roll. Yeah, you can roll a Roth over.
You can roll a pension over. You would have to do it into a trad if you don't want to pay taxes, or you would pay taxes
Yep.
in the scenario that Johnny was saying and put it into a Roth. Yeah.
All right. One more.
We can go a couple more.
Seven more.
Seven more. All right. This one's from Little Noel. How to earn passive income on our XRP? How do we?
Be careful. That's all I'm saying. Don't
do it right
don't do
now.
it.
You
I would
don't.
say don't do it right now.
Yeah, don't do
Yeah,
it.
the reason why is because there's a lot of people who lock. You have to think of the house, right? Who are you giving your XRP over to?
Be careful.
And and that's when they try to earn a higher yield on that, they're going to be trading your XRP, and the markets are extremely volatile when it comes to crypto, and so they could possibly liquidate your XRP and you could probably never get it back. So it's not to say that over time possibly we will be borrowing against those assets, but as of right now, current time, I would not hold that asset with anybody else but you.
Yes.
Yeah, the problem is that it's not native. It's not a proof of stake chain, right? It's not like Ethereum, Solana, Sui, that it's built into the blockchain that you stake with the validator to validate transactions, provide security, and there's a built-in yield, right? There's an automatic reward built into that layer, so you don't have to go very far. With the vaults that have been created either through Flare, Doppler Finance, and I think Megaplex, they create vaults, and I think Flare is the kind of most not forward, but the most kind of upfront about it, right? They tell you, hey, this is a vault, it's a smart contract, you're going to deposit your XRP, and they are going to convert your XRP into Ethereum and then stake that Ethereum and earn the yield and then try to convert that back into XRP and pay you the yield, right? So they're letting you know what's going on. But like Jackie said, I think it's extremely early, and you just never know. With that whole KelpDAO hack that I just told you guys about, you actually got Hugo. I saw an interview with him, the CEO of Flare. He actually was very responsible. They have a layer, so they have their own bridge. So when you take XRP and bridge it into Flare, it's their bridge. But if you try to bridge your XRP on Flare into other chains, they use layer 0. And so when that hack happened, they were unsure if it was a problem with layer 0. So they froze everything. You couldn't bridge out of Flare. So people were freaking out saying like, oh, look, they're stealing your XRP. And it wasn't. He was being very responsible. They had to figure out it wasn't a layer 0 thing. But the point is that I think it's still very early, and I would just kind of wait, let the technology catch up. You know, you do have platforms like Nexo. Johnny, did you do, you and Mario used Nexo back in the day, right?
I love
Back in the
Nexo.
day.
Okay, and so I think
They're back.
that's the safer one in the research I've done, where you can earn some yield, but like the risk there is if Nexo ever goes out of business, or remember they got banned in the US. I think they're back in the US.
back.
Are they, Mario?
Yeah, they're back.
And so that's a little bit better than vaults, but make sure you do your research first.
Mhm.
Awesome. Buddy's in the house.
Also, too, I know we want to get to questions. Jackie, I sent you an article just in our personal chat on Teams. It talks about one of the main reasons why Google's spending all this money is because Google makes its own AI chips, and they're trying to get their AI chips into everything and competing more with NVIDIA. They signed a multi-billion-dollar deal with Meta. So Meta's starting to use Google's AI chips because of the focus on its ability to manage AI, which could be bad for NVIDIA in the long term.
Yeah. See, this is the thing real quick before we get to the next question is I always started knowing what we know about what's going on with AI companies and the money cycling and the partnerships that they're all creating with each other. The thing I always questioned was, why did Warren Buffett go into Google recently?
Because he was following my podcast.
Yeah, maybe.
I believe that.
Probably does.
I believe that.
I mean, he's very powerful.
Yeah. Financial
Why
wizard.
wouldn't you?
He's very knowledgeable. Yeah, I don't know. So, because like when someone
He's
asked
a joke,
me, no, I love you, Jeremy.
I always follow
You're
Jeremy.
extremely knowledgeable. Own that. When someone asked me that of hey, are you buying like tech stocks or AI stocks right now? And I was like, no way. Not at all. And that was the reasoning behind it. But I always questioned why Warren Buffett went into Google. But we could go to the next question.
Actually, it's not a question. It's a fun fact.
Oh, I starred this one.
Coming from Love Stomps. As
I'm
long
telling
as,
you, it's going to be 100. Sorry.
as long as Costco hot dogs stay $1.50, the world is
right.
okay.
That's
And-
amen.
and in and
We
out.
can close us out with that
Those
one.
hot dogs are going to be $300.
They do that on purpose.
Oh.
I love that, dude.
Sound effects. Let's go.
All
They
right.
do that on purpose. It's a loss leader.
All right. Next question comes from Danny DeSantis. What do you look for in a really good trust attorney?
And a great
Confidence.
trust attorney. What's that?
I said confidence.
Confidence, knowledge, constantly learning. I think one of the biggest things that we've experienced is like it's when a trust attorney is always like, no, you can't do that. No, it's like, is it no or you don't know, right? They have to be advancing, they have to be growing, they have to be. I choose to believe that they need to actually be practicing what they preach,
Mhm.
right? So I think they need to be advanced practicing what they preach. I would highly recommend looking for someone that is researching digital assets and the future monetary system. So that's for us. We had to level up our team big time and where our ecosystem was going. And so confidence, educating themselves, knowing something about digital assets, and not just saying no. Like, I think that's the biggest thing is like, is it no or you don't know? Because a lot of financial advisors and trust attorneys will just say no because they've not educated themselves and they're stuck in the old system.
And having a really good communication with you about how to actually do things to reduce your taxes.
Proactively.
That's one of the things that always has frustrated
That's
me
the
with
strategy.
not only myself, but then also with other people is not having a regular reoccurring things to say, this is what we're going to do to decrease your taxes.
Yep. Love it. Love it.
That is all of the questions for now.
Nice. Well,
Beautiful.
I think we'll do our round robin. We'll go around the room and you guys close us out and give us some wisdom. And we'll start with Gonzo.
Awesome. I think I'll just end it with, I was telling May about this morning because she texted me hella early in the morning. I think we just have to have some patience, right? Let the market come to us. I've said this before, even if I'm wrong, right? We're wrong and 60K is the low and we continue to rally. Like, let's say, usually statistically speaking, I was looking at some of the data. May and June are actually pretty decent months for Bitcoin. It's actually August and September that are bad. But let's say that we continue to rally. You would have to get above 93K, right, to change the downtrend that we were in. That is the last lower high that we made. So we would have to continue to rally throughout the summer, get above 93K, right? And if we do that, you still have to come down to build structure and come back down to that 60K low. Now, maybe it doesn't go all the way to 60K. Maybe it stops at 70K, 65K, but it would still give us an opportunity to get in. And I'm telling you guys, if that actually is the low, we're going so much higher, 200K, you won't care whether you bought at 60 or 65. So have some patience, let the market come to you. I still think we can get up to 80, 81, 82, and then have the big correction. But just in case I'm wrong, you can still be patient and let the market come to you and we could still get at a very good price. That could be the bottom.
Awesome. Jackie.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Don't forget to buy your book today. Put that book up in the air.
Wave it
Let's
like you
go.
just don't
Wave
care.
it like you just don't care. Truly, guys, we have made this our
have that one
mission as a team, and so we absolutely appreciate the support, and we are also here just to be here for our people as well. So we love you guys. Thank you so much.
Love you. Johnny.
Yeah, I want to say congrats, Coach, on the book. It's fantastic. Huge accomplishment. So congratulations to you and the team on that. I'll just say to everybody, guys, Gonzo, I agree with Gonzo. Have patience. That's rule number one. Number two, make sure you have a profit plan or an exit plan. When you get in something, you better know when you're getting out. Most people don't. So that's what we're here today to help teach you guys how to do that. So I just encourage everybody, make sure you have a plan.
That's awesome. Mario.
Yeah, just to hone in on what everybody said as far as the markets, remember it's time in the market, not trying to time the market. The longer you can be in the market, the more chances you have of being profitable and being successful. So, don't focus on whatever price could be at the end of the year. Focus on the prices that can be for the years to come. Like so many times we procrastinate on doing things because we believe we have time. So why do we try to rush the process of becoming wealthy? Just be consistent with it and it'll happen. And obviously, congratulations to JV on the launch of the book. Guys, if you don't already have the book, go get it. Mine's coming in the mail tomorrow. So I'm super excited about that. Have an amazing weekend, everyone.
Love you, brother. Let's go to Jeremy.
Yes, I will just reiterate what everybody else said. Patience is the most important thing. I always say that just give everything time, keep going, and you'll figure it out and put energy into it. But as far as patience goes, I recommend, for me, meditation is always a really big thing. To help me calm my mind and to also stay patient in any of the processes or anything that we're doing. So I encourage you guys to do that. And go get the book, read the book, share the book, give it to friends, give it to children. Again, I think one of the most powerful things and something that touched my heart with CJV was making the book. The goal of the book is to get people to purchase it, but not to gain the revenue from it, to get it high as up as we can so more and more people can see it. If people don't know, our very first company, JV Impacts, the mission statement is to impact someone's life every single day. And so getting this book into more and more people's hands in front of more and more people will allow you to understand what's happening, and the books that are going to follow this are going to be amazing. So I hope this book, if you're not in the academy, entices you to come into the academy and learn our Capital DR system. Because if you just follow the process and stay patient, you can build the wealth that you're looking to build. So
that's awesome. Love you, May.
Love you.
Beautiful. Well, it's so important to study finances and financial education, but also, just like Jeremy was kind of saying, personal development is everything. Because the more that you know who you are, the more that you can hold in your hands. And so make sure that you are doing that investment in yourself.
Amazing. Awesome. I'll wrap it up with a huge thank you to the community. Thank you to our team. We have such an amazing team. We're so unbelievably grateful. It was such a fun morning. Just want to say thank you to all the people behind the scenes. We got D and the ones and twos back there. So thank you so much. And yes, I will, do a little, not a shameless plug. I'm very proud of it. So this is the book right here. This is the book that will change your life. It is The American Nightmare. The Dream is Crossed Out: How Debt, Inflation, and Banks Stole the American Dream. So this book is going to radically transform the financial literacy of humanity. And we talked about this on our call this morning and on our live, is that we are going to be, it's pretty obvious that they're just going to try to give us bailouts. And it's obvious that we need financial literacy reform in the education system. And so not only are we going to work to rewire the adults' minds around financial literacy, but we are going to be building infrastructures and private schooling systems for the youth to understand how money actually works. That's the only way to fix this, is we have to embody it ourselves, and we have to pass down the information, and we have to build the education system so we can change the world to be a better place. And that's what the mission of the book is all about, and what all of our businesses are all about. And just to let you guys know as well, these are all the amazing coaches that you can work with in the 3T Warrior Academy. Please come say hi to us at XRP Las Vegas. And I want to say very, very big thank you. We are on our way to hit the #1 spot on Amazon by tomorrow. We're actually on the way. I just checked a couple of the rankings out there. #1 in 2 different spots, #3 in one, and one of the hottest bestsellers right now. And we are coming up on over 2,000 books sold. So I want to say thank you to you guys.
Wow.
Appreciate you. And we are heading to the $1 billion ecosystem to change people's lives from the inside out, to help you guys understand how the system actually works, but most of all, pass it down to the next generation. So we love you guys. We appreciate you, as we always say. Warriors, rise. Shit together. Let's go.
Let's go.
See you in Vegas.